Oliver's Garden, Part 1. It was a beautiful sunny morning at Doug's branch line, and Doug, Oliver, Natasha, Zach, Sadie of Truro, and the Scottish twins were working hard collecting passengers and goods. Toad the brakeman, in particular, was quite enjoyable himself as he sang along as they traveled along. Oliver could hear Toad singing, and he was quite curious about it. "What are you singing back there, Toad?" he asked. "Never mind me, Mr. Oliver. I suppose I'm just in an Italian mood this morning." "Oh, what's that?" "It's that new restaurant just past Love's Cove. They're always playing the most wonderful music when we pass." Oliver was puzzled. "That's what the place is? I haven't noticed," he said. "Oh, yes," said Toad. "The place with the big garden by the line." "Oh, that place," thought Oliver thoughtfully. But he didn't know what use he would have of Italian food. But he didn't like music still the same. As Oliver passed by, he could hear music. He blew his whistle to say hello, but as he passed by, an older woman stepped out of the garden, waved her fist, and shouted rudely at him. "Hey, do you mind? I'm trying to pick up my food, you noisy great engine." "So that's how it is now," grunted Oliver, but Toad was too busy humming along to even notice. At lunchtime, Oliver told Natasha about the older lady. "And that woman was most horrible," he finished. Natasha's face fell. "So, do you know the older woman who was working in the garden, Oliver?" "I haven't. Why?" "I remember her from my Great Western Railway, and she was mad at me if I had. She is young, and she loves cleaning the station. Over time, she got mad while the rest of us were late. My crew and my manager tried to tell her about it, but she wouldn't listen to us as she walked away. Some say she was mad at us if the train was delayed. Then others say she was mad when the things she needed it to be. At some point, she got fired from her work, and now she's working at a restaurant outside of the gardens on Sodor, while she moves away from her home." Oliver was surprised. "And what's her name?" "Maria," Natasha replied. "The owner for the restaurant was named Jones, who works at the new restaurant with Maria as well, and she was a poor man's wife. That horrible, nasty devil woman, and she hates when engines come whistling by, and also she hates us on Sir Tottenham's railway. I didn't like her at all." "Devil woman indeed," muttered Oliver. "But the question is, Mrs. Natasha, how does one solve the problem for Maria?" "I don't know, Toad," sighed Natasha. "I'm afraid I really don't know." And she steamed away for her next train, leaving the worried Oliver and Toad with much to think about. Over the next few days, it was always the same. As Oliver, Duck, Natasha, Zach, Zeddy of Truro, and the Scottish twins passed by with their daily trains, all they could hear was shouts and swears. The 7 engines tried to tune it out, but it was becoming ever so tiring. Even poor Toad had his mood soured, and no longer felt like singing. One afternoon, though, as Oliver was taking the last ballast train down from the Ulster Railway to Titmouth Station, it happened. He was puffing by all the same. There was Maria, standing right there in the garden by the fence. As Oliver passed by, he felt a hard thud right on his boat box. His driver applied the brakes and brought him to a quick stop. "Ow! What was that?" he exclaimed. There on his running board was a big fat turnip. He wasn't hurt, but a small vegetable was nothing to a heavy steam engine. But he quickly realized what had happened. He stared at Maria and let out the longest loud whistle he hadn't heard. She covered her ears and began shouting as she ran back to the restaurant. But no one could hear a thing for Oliver. When Oliver finished, he said not a word and continued on his way to Titmuth. He made his point quite clear. I told you about Maria to be treating her properly, Oliver, said Natasha when Oliver came back that night in Osborne's shed. First a young enthusiast, and now this. Where's it going to end that well? What a great hole, puffed Donald. Aye, so do I, added Douglas. That older woman was rude, but I thought she would be friends. Huh, huffed Oliver. Friends or no friends was causing worse than for her. I never heard of the rudest woman in the world. She's nothing but a delayed nuisance, burst out City of Truro. No, said Duck. We should make our opinions towards Maria, and that was never going to be built with this guard. I think we should tell Sir Topham Hatt about Maria, put in Zack. He could scold her for the restaurant with Jones. The other Rangers agreed and went back to sleep. But I'm afraid to say not much changed after that. Every day there she was, yelling and shouting as engines passed. But Oliver couldn't do a thing. He grew more and more fed up. That's not very nice for the woman shouting at us, said Oliver suddenly. Oh, my poor ears, whimpered Dulcie. Oliver took no notice, but Toad just soon comforted him. Soon enough, Oliver was collecting the ballast cars to be loaded since Donald and Douglas were doing their work elsewhere. He was tired of having to go past the restaurant every time, but he didn't have a choice. She can't keep it up forever, can she? Asked Oliver's driver. Apparently she can, replied the fireman. But just give it time, old boy. Time? It's been weeks. If I could speak to her, you bet I'd make it stop. And he flounced away. Little did he know, however, his wish could come true in the way that probably didn't intend. As he came back down the line, there was Maria, right on cue. She prepared herself for more vegetables, but she never got the time to throw them. Suddenly, without warning, Oliver jerked about and quickly himself lifted off the rails. The hot sun had buckled the line in no time to stop. Oliver was off the rails and crunching tarmac. He came to a stop as he felt his wheels sink into the soft dirt of the garden. Maria, who had run for cover, was horrified when she saw the mess of the garden. You're a horrid, awful, disgusting engine, she shouted. You ruined my beautiful garden. Being covered in vegetables is nothing new for me, if you don't mind, Oliver grumbled. So frankly, it serves you right, said the driver as he climbed down from the cab, trying to slip into the crushed tomatoes. If you excuse me, we need to borrow your telephone. If there's not too much of a bother, of course. And they went inside to phone for help. Unfortunately for Oliver, Judy and Jerome were busy on the other side of the island. Duck arrived with Alice and Mirabelle for the driver and fireman. But for Toad and Oliver, it was going to be a long